Hello and welcome everyone. My name is AdlerGG and this is the Gamers class meta report for patch 26C, and we will take a closer look at the position 1.
If you like this type of content, go to gamersclass.com. For just $5 a month, get your replays analyzed, join monthly live sessions with pro players, get access to our entire content library, win prizes, and more with our supreme Dota 2 membership.
One of the most broken heroes in the game right now when we look at raw win rates is Lycan. Lycan is usually played in pushing environment, but it's very easy to solo carry games with it. Skill build wise, we will usually see a 4-0-2 into 4-4-2. Item build is also super straightforward compared to most carries. So you will usually see either a Dominator rush or a Necro rush, and then you build the complementary item, Dominator into Necro or Necro into Dominator. After that you follow it up with Necro free, and then in most cases you buy AC. And if you have trouble training heroes with your Zoo and your hero or the hero itself, try a BKB. What are the friends of Lycan? Well, usually it pairs very well with heroes that provide auras that affect creeps, or generally pushing heroes. So in this particular game we can see a Beastmaster in combination with a Lycan, so a lot of summons and you can just push towers very early. Another interesting thing is lockdown and general initiation, or stuff that can basically hold people so the entire zoo that you control can connect to heroes. A bread and butter combination in competitive Dota is Puck and Lycan. So you have Dream Coil into the entire Lycan army is training into the Dream Coiled targets. The strength of the hero is its insane pushing potential, as well as the snowball potential. So it's very easy on Lycan to hit the item timings, and if you get a few kills here and there and you play a flawless game without deaths, you will hit very early Necro free in combination with the Dominator, and you simply snowball the game instantly because you just fight, take down a tower, fight, take down a tower, fight, take down a tower. It's also important to mention that you easy can put yourself into a position where you just simply solo carry the game, either by split pushing, or even if an enemy core player is snowballing in the mid lane, for example, you can just walk over with an ultimate, just train him until he dies. Also, it is important to mention that Lycan is really strong when it comes to Roche control itself, so you can scout the Roshan with the wolves if the enemy team is approaching it, but you can easily take it down with a little bit help of your team, especially if supports provide some form of minus armor, or you have additional auras, or you have a medallion, for example, on your team. What's also really nice about the hero is that we do not have to commit the hero to fight. The ultimate is affecting your summons globally, so as long as you are shapeshifted, your creeps are affected. That means you never ever have to commit your hero into a fight if you're not sure that you survive. So you can basically just pop your ulti, send in your entire zoo and train a support, for example. There's not much he can do about it, and the beauty is we can just do something else with our hero and we do not die, even if the fights are really hard. The last thing on the list is the scouting capability with the invisible wolves. So once you become decent at playing Lycan, you have a lot of spare time in your mind, because you simply jungle and push out waves with all your summons, and once you think about it, you can actively use the wolves or one of the wolves to basically just walk around, try to scout an enemy, and then move command onto that enemy with the wolf until it expires. So it's basically map hack. Weakness of the hero is its laning stage. So Lycan is basically a hero that just wants to hit its item timings. So the easiest way to shut a Lycan down is to basically pressure him on lane. So any bad lane matchups or heavy pressure lanes that he can't play will slow down his timings. If the enemy is on their toes basically and just chases the Lycan around as early as possible and doesn't let him farm in the jungle, and just after they push him out, just chase him through the jungle and don't let him farm and never get, so he doesn't get his items, and then Lycan is super weak. So basically, if you can't hit your item timings on Lycan, you don't have a hero. Also, Lycan is no true hard carry. If you think about it, the ultimate is what makes him strong. The other spells are like Medicore. If you compare it with a Phantom Lancer, for example, PL, he doesn't need any ultimate. He scales with items, and once he has a critical mass of items, he will just carry the game. Lycan doesn't work like that. You have a critical mass of items at some point, but if you don't end the game and the game drags on, you're in a very, very bad position. Also, since we usually play Lycan summon based with Necro and Dominator, we struggle super hard versus scaling physical AoE damage. So a Kanka or a Pangolier can be really, really troublesome if you have to play against that. Because the longer the game goes, the stronger the AoE gets. So they will simply one-shot all of your summons at some point. Natural hard counters are basically heroes that either deal with the summons or that are good at catching Lycan during his ultimate. Probably the worst thing that can happen is that you pick Lycan and someone picks Timbersaw into your Lycan and just comes straight to your lane, and there's nothing you can do anymore. You can't kill this hero. And since you're a strength based hero, he will completely destroy you with his Q ability. Another very troublesome hero on a support position would be Earthshaker. So Earthshaker is pretty common in the current meta. So basically the Earthshaker itself, once he has Blink Dagger, can just instantly kill you if you are around your summons. He just blinks in, Echo Slam, you're dead. And if you're not dead, he just pulls off the rest of the combo and then you should be dead. And another problem is that if you train targets with your summons, he can mess with movement paths, he can fissure block chokes and then you need to walk around, or basically once you connect, he splits you away from the summons, or he partially splits the summons and you can't train targets effectively. For mid lane, when there's a Kunkka, you're also in a lot of trouble. So Kunkka can basically just cleave all your summons, and he can easily catch you with X-Mark into both. And even if you connect to targets like supports, he can simply use his boat to get the supports additional damage reduction. And when they stack defensive items, you might not be able to kill them anymore in a full shapeshift duration. That's when you're in trouble. My secret tip for the current meta carries is Troll. Troll is usually skilled in a 1-for-1 into a 1-4-4, but there's also more aggressive routes that you can take. So you basically want to get more points in your queue, so the route duration is longer. So you usually end up with like a 2-3-1, or even like we can see here a 3-4-1. That's basically if you want to kill players. If you want to AFK farm, just max your passive. Common item routes are usually Battle Fury. And Battle Fury is usually built if you cannot fight the enemy early on, or you know that you can outcarry the enemy easily and you just go for a farming build basically. If you think you can man fight and you have a strong position in the game and there's not that much that can stop you, a Diffusal Blade to fight early is insane, because it utilizes your ultimate attack speed and you simply burn a mana really quickly and then targets just die. In this game we see a Manta style, because Manta is basically an interesting choice because it allows you to have a decent farm speed but also interesting defensive capabilities. So in this particular game we can basically Manta style out of the smoke, we can dispel the Ember Spirit chains, we can dodge some Mars abilities if we use it properly, and we can get rid of the Grimstroke combo if we play it correctly. So Manta style is basically a pretty nice item on Troll that you don't see that often, but as long as you can utilize the dispel component, you can go for a Manta. The usual item route is like Battle Fury into SNY into Satanic, and this is basically the status resistance build. So you just stack status resistance, and if you drop low, you pop your Satanic or your ultimate and you just tank through everything. This route should be usually taken if you have a defensive support at your disposal. That makes sure that you always get off your ultimate even in critical situations, or if you need to tank through a lot of stuns and you don't want to buy BKB. Another thing is the BKB itself. So BKB can be super useful on the hero, but sometimes you don't need it. So you basically need to decide if you go for a status resistance build or if you need the BKB to basically make sure that you get off your ultimate. So if you have trouble getting off your ultimate, you should basically think about a BKB as soon as possible. Friends of Troll are basically defensive supports that allow you to get your ultimate off and allow you to skip BKB or buy BKB as late as possible. Also, any form of crowd control that allows you to basically train targets like a puck or heroes that can lock stuff down and lets you connect like Clockwork in this game or a Centaur also pair really well with Troll. The strength of the hero is its super strong laning stage against other melee offlaners. So in this particular game we picked Troll to deal with the Mars, so we have a free farm lane. Another thing is the fast farming speed, and you can adapt your skill build really well for the current situation. So you can decide if you need to farm or if you need to fight. So it's very versatile. And you can basically lane it with most or every support in the game because it's a range hero if needed, and it's a very strong laner generally speaking with good stats, so your support can be a little bit more greedy than usual. Also, generally speaking, any support that can basically help the carry in any way is good with Troll. Another important component of Troll is the Roche potential. So Troll is one of the few heroes that can bring down Roche pretty quickly once you have a certain item state in the game. So if you play Troll, always make sure that you have an eye on an early Roshan. Weakness of the hero is that you want to have a strong laning stage. That means if we have a bad laning stage, we're in trouble. Because Troll can jungle to a certain extent, for sure, but it's not that fast if you have not that much levels. So if you compare it with a Naga Siren or a TB or a Wraith King, if the game goes really poor for them in the laning stage, they can just rotate out very early and then they just jungle and it's whatever. But on a Troll, you don't want to rotate out of your lane, because the spells do not allow you to jungle really quickly, and we pick the hero to dominate the lane. Also, it's very hard to play Troll into multiple defensive supports or multiple saves on the enemy side, and it's also very easy to itemize against a Troll in form of Ghost Scepters and Hellbard. So your life can be super miserable as a Troll player if there's a lot of defensive stuff on the enemy team, because you simply can't hit something during your ultimate. Natural hard counters for Troll are Pagna, because he can either banish the teammate you're training with the ultimate, and even if you stack status resistance, like before the status resistance items, he can just banish you and you don't do anything after your ultimate. And once you complete your status resistance items or BKB, he can just banish his teammates for full duration to save them. So Pagna is really, really bad for Troll. Then we have Brewmaster. Brewmaster is basically the same thing. You can't kill this hero. Like, he has mischance, and even if you connect to him, he can just ulti out, and then the ulti is up and he will just cast a cyclone after cyclone after cyclone after cyclone, and you will never be able to hit anything. A troublesome support for Troll is Shadow Demon or any defensive support, but Shadow Demon is pretty far up on the list because Shadow Demon has a BKB piercing slow. So if he applies the slow to you, you will never be able to connect anything, and even if you somehow manage to connect onto something, he can simply banish you pre-BKB and again you can't hit, or he banishes teammates after you connect and you will also not be able to hit the target you connected to. So Shadow Demon is very, very troublesome to play against. So let's talk about the bane of a lot of lower MMR players and even the bane of many Redditors. He's also known as Cancer Lancer. Probably one of the hardest heroes to deal with if he's picked into a good game. Phantom Lancer is usually skilled in a 1-1-4 into 1-4-4. It is important to mention that a lot of PL players make a mistake, that they go for 1-0-2, so they opt for the Phantom Rush early on for the second point, which gets them killed very frequently. So I highly recommend that you opt for a 1-1-1 build in most lane setups, just to make sure you're not dying randomly. The item build on PL is pretty straightforward. So we either go Diffusal into Manta or Manta into Diffusal, depending if we need the defensive dispel against silencers, for example, or if we want to play more farm oriented and we need to basically carry the game 1 versus 9 and we know that we can't fight with an early Diffusal blade, we usually go Yasha into Diffusal into Manta. These items are usually followed up by either a Heart, a Basher or a Satanic, but the standard route is Heart if you can end the game, or a Basher if the game proceeds and you need to make crucial kills followed up by an Abyssal Blade, or you go Basher just for the additional lockdown into Heart or Butterfly, depending how much physical damage or how much magic damage the enemy team has. Friends of PL are basically supports that are strong on the lane. So in this particular game, we have a Bane, one of the strongest lane supports, just to make sure that the PL has free farm or the best possible lane. Also, PL pairs really well with heroes that can delay the game and make space for him. So anything that basically runs at the enemy, so DPL can free farm for at least 15 to 20 minutes to hit his Manta Diffusal Blade timing or a decent Diffusal Blade timing to join the game once he completed it. Also, any form of lockdown is really nice to have. So if you have heroes that can basically set up for you, just go in so you can follow up and train targets freely after they connect. Makes your life really easy. The strength is basically that you can outcarry most heroes in the game. Like PL is basically one of the hardest carries in the game. No cooldowns, basically scales really well with all his items, has insane talents, 25 is just crazy. So the longer the game goes, the better PL usually is. And if there's no true hard counter for PL in the game, or multiple hard counters, it's usually a free PL game and you just carry it from start to finish. Also, if the lane becomes hard or you get countered, it's possible to jungle early on with the help of Phantom Rush and Doppelganger, and once you're level 6, your farming speed in the jungle is really good. And also, it's a true hard carry. You basically most of the time need only one item to become active, which is Diffusal Blade, but latest with Diffusal Blade Manta, you're a really threat on the map and you can scale unlimited. Weakness of PL is that we have basically zero Roche potential. Sometimes you're ahead in a game and what can hold you back is that you simply can't kill Roche, and PL is like super bad at killing Roche. If you pick a PL too early in the draft, it's very easy for your enemies to address the PL, because there's a lot of heroes that can make your laning stage miserable, and also a lot of heroes that can make you mid game and late game even more miserable. So please make sure that you pick PL as late as possible. This hero is no first pick material in a pub game. Also, since we scale with items, we usually want one item completed, like most hard carries. So we are not that strong if we are forced into early fights, even though the damage output with Phantom Rush with no items is insane, but most of the time it's still not a good idea to fight without Diffusal Blade. Also, PL itself has no synergy, in my opinion, with heroes, or there's like no strong combinations of heroes that you could abuse when you play PL. I mean, there is Keeper of the Light that can be really nice to refresh your Phantom Rush, but if you compare it with an Ember Spirit Kotl, PL Kotl is like Medicore. The natural counters for PL is Timbersaw. So Timbersaw is basically the worst matchup you can get on PL, because if he is laning against you, like, you can't touch him, you can't kill him. He can do whatever he likes, and even if you are on an even lane, at some point he will just spam you out of the lane and you're completely out of the lane at some point, and you just need to jungle. So Timbersaw is like the worst nightmare of any PL player. And then we have Puck. Puck can be dealt with at some point, but in the later stages of the game, the Dream Coil, as well as the mid game, the Puck can just solo kill you by Dream Coiling into silence. So Dream Coil is a very, very, very troublesome ability for PL, because we can't use Doppelganger while we're leashed. So be very careful if you play versus Puck, and please complete your Manta style if you play against Puck, and then you can show on the map, so you can at least dispel the initial silence. A support that matches really well versus PL is Earthshaker. Earthshaker can be very hard to deal with already very early on, because the fissure range is really long, and it's very easy for an Earthshaker to set up kills on a PL if he fissures you out of the fog, and then another hero comes in with a silence or a stun, and you have basically no time to react with the Doppelganger to get out. This is very troublesome. And then if we proceed into mid and late game, we have a lot of illusions in team fights, and the Earthshaker will have a blink dagger at some point, and he will just blink, echo, and instantly delete your hero. So Earthshaker, be very careful if you see this hero. It is very important to mention that a meta report on carries is always very troublesome, because a lot of different carry players will have different opinion what's best. So for this particular video, I contacted a very high MMR player, like 9.5k, and asked for his opinion. And also I used data from the We Play Pushguard tournament to support these claims. So please be aware that carries, generally speaking, should choose their carry depending on the matchup you get on the lane, as well as matching the enemies overall. So for carries, it's way more important to make a right pick than picking a meta hero, in my opinion. But for this list, Lycan is the only hero that I would say pick it every game. The win rate is insane. But for Troll and PL, I think they're super strong if you play them correctly. And also high MMR players think that these cores in particular are very broken in a pub scenario. And I think if you want to try them, go ahead. So my name is LeGG, and thanks for watching.